Hello, please mute your microphone. Right. So I'm recording now. So what we want to discuss about today, I'm welcoming you all. We have people from my class 2 that are going to join the class by January. But this is just an opportunity for them to see the flow of my live teaching so that they can experience it while they prepare themselves for the full class. So I know they will have a lot of questions after that, but they can keep their question for when we begin their own class. Now, for those who are already part of the first class, we already had a class about researching when you want to buy individual stock. So this research that I'm going to be teaching you now is going to equip you with all you need when you want to pick a company to add to your portfolio. Already, like I said, anybody that is a beginner, if you are fresh to the stock market, if you are starting from zero, it's always advisable to pick up low-cost ETF, exchange-traded funds, as your portfolio. Reason is, when you do that, you don't really need to have a research skill, and you can still get your fair share of the stock market. However, if you want to pick individual stocks, you need to have this kind of research skills, the one I want to teach you today. After today's class, you will have the ability to be able to find companies, add them to your portfolio, and be able to manage the risk. So let's move on. My slide is not moving. Okay, now it's moving. Okay, so what we're going to consider today, the first part is going to be stock ideas. Where can I find stocks? How do I know what stocks are listed? And now we're talking about the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. These are the different exchanges. These are the biggest exchanges that trade in businesses publicly. So where can you find the stocks that you can buy? Because we have over 3,000 stocks listed. So secondly, I'm going to show you the traits of great businesses. That is, what are the likely things to look out for in a business when you're doing your research before you reach the conclusion that, oh yes, this business is good for me and I'm going to add it to my portfolio. Then we move to the third part, which is, now that you have found the business and you're ready with your money, should you go ahead and buy right away? Should you buy tomorrow? Should you buy next year? When should you buy? And how much of it should you buy? Then finally, we're going to go through, where can you start to do your research? Where will you base your research on? What tools do you need to do your research? And then the final part would be question and answer. So let's start with stock ideas. So where can you get stock ideas? Really, if you want to get stock ideas, the easiest place for you to start is from products that you use every day. Yes, products you use every day. Like you're joining this call using Zoom. You're joining this call using Zoom. Now, when you're using Zoom, you're giving Zoom as a business an opportunity to make money. But of course, we know that majority of the people using Zoom are using the free features. But businesses that leverage extra features on Zoom, like ability to have calls for over an hour, ability to be able to connect a live video like this to YouTube and Facebook, before you can have all those extra features, you need to subscribe. So there are a lot of people subscribing to Zoom Premium, and so Zoom is making money. And you can tell me that Zoom is now one of the most popular video platforms in the world. In the past, it used to be Skype. You say, let's jump on a Skype. Let's jump on a Skype. Everybody knew Skype. In fact, Skype pioneered that industry. But today it is Zoom. Let's Zoom. Let's jump on a Zoom call. So Zoom is very popular. You see, so you can start from a product you're very familiar with. I'm sure, is there anybody on this call that doesn't know Zoom? If you don't know Zoom, raise your hand, let me see. I'm too sure you all know Zoom. You see, now, other companies you might be very well aware of would be maybe Facebook, could be Pinterest or Boeing. Well, maybe for Boeing, you probably haven't visited their office before, or you have not really bought a product from Boeing. But if you've ever flown like a 737, or Boeing has a lot of planes that are used by many airlines. So each time those airlines are flying, Boeing is making money. But of course, you know that during the pandemic, air travel has gotten to an all-time low and people are not traveling much. But Boeing is another company that many of us are using. So, I mean, you can also know about that. What about Google? Yes, you use Gmail, you use Google Search, maybe you use Google Sheets or Google Drive. And the number of people that are very familiar with the Gmail and Google Search are so much. What about Pinterest? Many of the women joining this call probably use Pinterest for fashion ideas, how design ideas. So if you're looking for stock ideas, start by taking your pen and a paper and write down companies you use every day. So if you're looking for a great idea, like one stock to add to your portfolio today, in addition to the ETFs you have, maybe like some of us have the S&P 500 VOO, some of us have the VWO, that is the total stock market from the emerging economy, and some of us have VNQ, which is the Vanguard real estate insurance, real estate trust. Please kindly mute your microphone if you're just joining. Mute your microphone so that you don't distract, because right now I may not be able to see that place where I can mute you by myself. Thank you. So those are the places where you can get your stock ideas from. Now, if you want to move on to generate more stock ideas, you can look at your stock brokerage app. If you're using Trading 212 or Bamboo or Chaka, or for those who are from Canada, they use Wealthsimple. Those in the US, they use Vanguard or Schwab or TD Ameritrade. They usually have newsletters they send out. And sometimes in the brokerage app, once you open it, they'll usually show you some stocks, maybe stocks that are movers for the day or stocks that went down. You can also get stock ideas from there. Now, you're getting stock ideas, preparing yourself for your research. I'm not saying you get those stocks from those places and then you immediately go and buy them. No. You don't just buy stocks because they are products you use or because they are products you like. If you do that, you might be running into a trouble. How can you just buy a stock because it's a product you use and you are familiar with? Once the stock experiences some turbulence on the stock market, that can shake the foundation of your conviction. But when you do a thorough research, your conviction will have a more solid foundation. That's the reason why you don't just get the stock and then you buy the stock. No, you get the stock and you prepare your stock list for thorough research. So what are other places where you can find stock? You can find stock on the Yahoo Finance app. If you go to the Yahoo Finance app and you can check stocks that are trending for the day, the highest, the lowest, check the news, and then you can get stock ideas from there, add them to your watch list, and then you begin to prepare for your research. Other places where you can get stock ideas are maybe premium subscription to publications like the Monthly Fool, the Morning Brew, CNBC, Bloomberg, Seeking Alpha, and the like. So now that you have a list of stocks you plan to research, we can move on to the next thing. What are those things you want to look for in a business? What are those things? Because once you put your money, what you are doing is you are telling yourself that you are going to be a part owner of that business. So number one, you need to look for the CEO rating. What kind of person is the CEO to the staff of the company? Do they like him? Do they hate him? Is the CEO a co-founder? Or was it someone that was just hired from outside? The idea of the business, was it originally his own? It has been found that CEOs that are the originator of the innovative ideas of a company, they usually have more skin in the game, especially if they have a larger share of the company. They will want their baby to succeed. They want their idea to move on and succeed. And once they are fighting like this with their skin in the game, once the business is succeeding, it means you as a shareholder will enjoy the benefit of a succeeding business. So now, you're not just going to say because the company is founder-led and the CEO has a good rating for the employees, bam, you're going to buy that company. No, that's just one thing to look for. You also need to ensure that this CEO is supported by experienced management. That is the people who are maybe his chief financial officer, chief operating officer, maybe the legal team. They need to be experienced. They don't need to be rookies. They need to be people who are very knowledgeable about building business, and especially in the sector that they work in. So when you get their name, you go ahead and do your research. Now, what's another point? Optionality. What are the optionality of this business? Now, in terms of optionality, we're talking about this business. Let's take an example of Apple. When Apple started in around 1985 and the early 90s, they were known for the Apple Mac computer that they brought. So bringing that Mac was like a new invention. It gave them more option to generate profit. For some time, the revenue started going down because not a lot of people, the computer market became saturated. And so what did they do? They brought a new invention, they brought the iPhone. And then they started to sell a lot. And after a point, iPhone market got to like a kind of saturation. So what did they do? They brought the AirPod and some other tools. In fact, they brought the Apple Store, where developers can develop their apps, host it in the App Store, and Apple has been taking a share of whatever purchase is made by a customer from the App Store. So that's what we call optionality. That is the ability of a business to reborn themselves. When I mean reborn themselves, they are growing. It gets to a point, it seems as if they are no longer growing, but they look for another opportunity to create extra option for getting more business, making more revenue, and earning more profit. So that optionality is very important. So if you're looking at a business, you need to find out, do they have optionality built into their DNA? Have they always been creating more options? For instance, in the last quarter, Apple only grew by 1%, and everybody is worried. People are not buying the stocks. The price is as if it's static at between 108 and 112 and 120. However, Apple has launched the iPhone 12. People are not very excited about it. And of course, know this, in the short term, The prices of stocks are driven by perception of people first and by demand and supply. As a real investor, you really can never tell how a business will do in the short term. But if a business has many of these qualities we are checking, the business might experience some turbulence and volatility in the short term due to perception of people. Sorry about the noise coming from the background. I think it's the hypnotize season. And yeah, please just bear with me. Now, so due to that optionality, you can be sure that this business will always be able to generate profit, and then you can hold them for 5, 10 years and you're okay. Another thing you can check is how many big institutional investors are buying into the shares of these companies. So we have big institutions like JP Morgan, Vanguard, yeah, I can't remember. There are so many big institutions. If these big institutions are buying into any company, they are held responsible by regulatory agencies to ensure that they do not over-risk. By so doing, they will use a lot of analysts. So for instance, please give me a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm back. Now, so each of these big institutional investors, for instance, they will have at least 2 or 3 analysts that they will use. These analysts, many times, they are CFA certified. And these analysts, they will put them on this company. They might say, okay, 2, 3 analysts research Apple, be on Apple. That will be their work every single day. Now, you and I, we're income earners. We have our 9 to 5. Do we have as much time as such analysts to research even one company as thoroughly as the professionals would do? Of course not. So you can just use the fact that a lot of professional institutions are holding them. You can use that as, okay, they must have done a thorough research about this company, and the risk of holding this kind of company is not too high. So you say, okay, good. This is a good business. But that's not the only reason to buy. You're not going to buy just because the CEO has a good rating. You're not going to buy only because the company has great optionality. You're also not going to buy just because the company is held by great institutions. You look at each of these and find out if the company has it. Then we move on to the 4th point, that is revenue and profit growth. For revenue is how much money is the company making in terms of how much money is paid to them, how much money they generated. But of course, once they generate revenue, there's going to be expenses they will make, like paying of salary, paying of suppliers, paying for different services they use. So revenue is different from profit. Profit is after they've paid the tax, they've paid salary, and what's left is the profit. But let me tell you, there are some businesses, especially growth company, in their early stage, they might be running for 5 to 10 years without breaking even. They may not have profit. Does it mean that during those periods where they are not making profit, you shouldn't invest in such companies? Of course not. So what do you look for? Find out if the company is generating revenue. Okay, they are generating revenue. How much revenue are they generating? What is your benchmark? You need to now check for comparison. You can say, quarter 4 of 2019, how much revenue did they generate? Quarter 4 of 2020, how much revenue did they generate? Is there a growth in revenue? Are they growing their revenue? If their revenue is not growing, then there's a problem. You need to also check how close are they getting to closing the margin before they break even. Are they reducing the negativity of their profit? So these are the things you're going to check. Usually, when a company slows down and they are not innovating much, maybe like a company like Coca-Cola, their profit margin might become very small. Their profit margin might not be sorry, I have my little kids here. I just had to go talk to them a little bit. Yeah, sorry. Then we move on to, so I've covered point 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth point is this company you want to invest in the sector they play, maybe healthcare, maybe EV, maybe it's food, maybe it's technology, and technology can also further be broken down. You need to find out, are they a leader in their sector? Maybe cyber security. What's their position? Are they the last? Are they an entrance? Are they disruptive? You need to check their position. If they are a new entrant, of course, if you are buying a company that is a new entrant, you know the risk is high. If there's someone who is already the sector leader, what the sector leader can do is the sector leader can acquire them or knock them down. But if their innovation is so strong, they might end up profiting very well. Let me give you an example of how a company can be very new, but at the same time may not be blown away by the competitor. An example is Amazon. Amazon is into e-commerce. When Shopify came on board, people felt Shopify stands no chance, that Amazon is going to swallow Shopify up. But like as my mentor will often tell me, there is enough space in the technology world for everyone to create their uniqueness and optionality. Amazon is making profits and rewarding their investors. Shopify is growing because Shopify has been able to distinguish itself and create a new set of optionality for itself. Remember optionality. Shopify has payment, they have invoicing, they have, I think they have payroll, they have so many things. And of course, when you are going to invest in a business, you need to research that business thoroughly and know what they're doing. I have Shopify in my portfolio, so I know about Shopify business. Now, finally, you go to the balance sheet. So what are you looking for in the balance sheet? You need to know if their finance is strong. Are they strong? Are they healthy? If a company is not so strong in their balance sheet, if they have too much debt, if an unfortunate event like coronavirus hits, they might go into bankruptcy. Is it JCPenney? JCPenney has gone into bankruptcy. Hertz, the car hailing service, has gone into bankruptcy. So it's the reason they went into bankruptcy is the state of their finance before coronavirus. No one knows what tomorrow will bring. No one is sure if a company who is doing very well today is going to be here tomorrow. But if their finance is too weak, they may not have enough funds to last them for like 6 months or a year or 2 years. So these are points to take note of if you want to research a business, if you want to qualify the business as strong to be added to your portfolio or not. So you use this to check. So maybe by the time you finish checking, you now say, okay, I don't think I want this business. I don't think I want this business. I think this business qualify. I just think this business qualify. So then you can move on to the next point. Now, this is a bit of a break. You see, this research can be very time consuming. And this research, even after you have decided this company is qualified and you want to add it to your portfolio, you don't just add this company and then you go to sleep. Some people used to say, buy it and throw it in your drawer and close it. Some often say, buy and forget. No, You have to keep checking up with the company. You need to set up a news alert, check them up, know how they are doing every quarter. Is your projection about the company, are they maintaining it? Are they increasing their revenue or their profit? If they are not, if they're slowing it down, what are they doing about it? For instance, Disney has some negativity and some issues during the coronavirus because the Disneyland in California was closed, the one in Shanghai was closed. In so many countries, Disney World was a huge cash cow for them. They closed it up because everybody had to be indoor. So the Disney business suffered some bad, they were not making money. So if you were an investor in Disney, what would you do? Will you sell? Well, a lot of people sold and left Disney. But the founders of Disney who have skin in the game, what they did was they activated Disney Plus. Disney Plus is similar to Netflix. And of course, Disney is a very popular brand. My kids watch Disney Junior. Each time my kids are watching Disney Junior, Disney is making money because MultiChoice pays heavily anytime they are showing Disney station on DSTV. So they have so many businesses. And if you check the investor relationship page of Disney, you will see all this information. But guess what? During Q2 and Q3, the amount of profits that Disney generated from launching Disney Plus, there was a particular movie they released. They were supposed to release it in a cinema, but because people were not going to the cinema, they released it on Disney Plus, and that allowed them to make a lot of money. So if you must add individual stocks to your portfolio, I think you should have at least one or two, such that you can have enough time to monitor them. But if you think you don't have time to do all this, it will be better for you to stick with ETF because your conviction will grow if you can research a company. Now you have researched this company and you have decided, okay, these are the two companies I want to buy. So when should you buy? How much of the company should you buy? So what you should do then is you need to ask yourself, from all I have seen, do I want to hold this company for 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years? Of course, even if you decide you want to hold the company for 10 years, you need to do a review every quarter, every 6 months, every year. You need to do a review to know if the company is still doing well, if they have things, if they have good optionality, if they're creating more growth, more revenue. You need to check all these things. Then, once you now decide that you want to buy, I tell you this, the best time for you to buy is after you have finished your research. Once you have finished your research, just buy. If you are going to hold the company for 3 to 5 years, it doesn't matter if you are buying Disney at $130 per share, or buying it at $150, or buying it at $180. Because you want to hold it for 5 years. In 5 to 10 years, when they grow, that little margin doesn't matter. Especially, it makes sense for you to say, okay, I'm going to buy $50 worth of Disney every month, or $100 worth of Disney every month, or I'm going to buy a share of Disney every month. So let's say you buy Disney in November, you buy it in December, you buy it in January. The prices you buy it at those 3 different times will vary. Sometimes you'll be buying it when the price is low. Sometimes you'll be buying it when the price is high. When you buy it this way, you're doing what we call dollar cost averaging. If, for instance, you buy Disney today and Disney is $145, and then Disney releases a report and the report is not so impressive, and investors are disappointed and they sell, and the price goes down to $120, but you still have a strong conviction about Disney. Now, Disney is selling for $120, so you buy at $120. Before you bought at $150, now you're buying at $120. It's going to bring your average cost down. So there are different styles you can decide to apply when you're buying as time goes on. So these are just some suggestions. These are not like, this is the way. You can decide to buy with 100%, say, okay, I want to buy $2,000 worth of Disney and hold it for the next 5 years. If that's your way, it's okay. But it's usually better to divide the money maybe into 4 and buy maybe every quarter or buy every month. And then when you do it that way, you are dollar cost averaging. And you don't have to worry about the price going up or down because you want to hold for a lot of, you want to hold for years. So that answers that. Now, so when you want to do your research, where do you go to do your research? You can do your research by maybe talking to customers of that company. Let's say for Zoom, for instance, if you're a user of Zoom, you can find out from yourself, how well do you like the product? Is their customer service good? Do they treat their customer very well? You check that. When you check that, that would be a good place for you to start your research. You can go to their official website. Now, when you go to their official website, if you want to read information for investors, you can type, for instance, Disney investor relation. Type it on the search and to direct you to the investor relation page. You can search on Yahoo Finance. You can search on Security and Exchange Commission website. You can use Google search. You can use social media. Now I'm going to show you practically how you can do this. But before I go on to show you practically how we can do this, do we have questions? You can use the raising your hand option if you have questions before we go to the practical part. Okay, people are typing. Let me see. ETFs, how do you research on ETF? All right, Simi, thank you for your question. Now let me take that. If you want to research about ETF, what you would do is you research the company that is managing the ETF. Let's say the ETF you want to buy is ETF S&P 500 VOO. Okay, let me see if I can bring up my browser. Yeah. Now let's say you want to search for VOO. What you do is you tap VOO, Vanguard S&P 500. You search for it. You see, investor, you can see it, Investor, Guardian, Vanguard. So you click on it. So when you click on it, it's going to show you everything about that ETF. What are the companies under the ETF? What is their expense ratio? You're going to get all the information. Now let's go to VOO. Let's search for VOO. Yes, that's it. Vanguard S&P 500 VOO. Now I'm on the official Vanguard website. You cannot check.
Hi, we can't see your screen.
Oh, you can't see my screen?
No. We can only see the graph thingy.
Okay, I think I'm supposed to switch. 1 second. Thank you. Let me switch. I need to stop sharing that one and reshare. Okay, let's go to. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now, so this is, okay, let me go back. This was how I started. I said VOO S&P 500. I want to find out about this particular ETF. So I go down and I saw it here, Investor Guardian ETF. So, you know, this is VOO. So I click on VOO. It brought me down here. Now I'm checking. I want to see, yeah. So you can see everything you need to know here. The overview of the fund, who is it meant for, what's the performance, you know, this is what we call the fact sheet. If you want to buy mutual fund, they usually send you fact sheet. So you get a fact sheet of the ETF. The expense ratio is 0.03. You check it. Who are the people handling this ETF? Vanguard is the name of the company. And Vanguard was founded by John C. Bogle. There's a book by John C. Bogle that I'm going to recommend to people taking my classes. It's very credible. He's the founder of ETF anyway, the founder of the inventor of index fund. You can check what's the price and performance, you know. All the details you want to check, you can check on this page. The portfolio management. You can also check what are the companies under this ETF, the sectors they are buying into. You can see here they have communication, consumer discretionary, energy, financial. So if you buy the VOO, you are buying into all these sectors. And you can see the weightings, how much of it are from a particular sector. They have 27% in information IT. They have 11.3% in consumer discretionary. And see the companies under it. We have Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. So you see, if you don't want to go through the headache of buying individual stocks, just buy the VOO. By the time you buy VOO, you have Apple, you have Microsoft, you are exposed to everything, but you're just buying one item. So I don't know if I've answered your question. Let me go to the chat. Okay, yeah. So that's it. Any other question before I move on to show you practically how you can use the different research tools to websites to get information about a company? And I'm going to use a specific example. Any more question? Okay. Let me stop sharing my screen. Now, okay, let's go back to the slide. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
All right, good. Now, this is a company I love. I'm going to ask you to recommend company, but let me go with the company I love very well. I don't really love it. I have a strong conviction about this company, and I'm an investor. And I'm going to hold this company for 5 to 10 years. The name of the company is Square. Of course, I don't use Square. I live in Nigeria. Square is not available in Nigeria, but it's available in the US and the UK. But I know the founder is Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. And I've followed the business for about 3 years. And I've also checked to see their finances. He has great optionality. The management is great. The CEO has skin in the game. Their balance sheet is strong. Now, let me show you. Let me show you one after the other. Now, that's Jack Dorsey. What's the CEO rating? If you want to check CEO rating, you go to Glassdoor. Glassdoor, when you type the name of the company and then you check, his approval rating is 87%. That's good. And you can see here, what about the management? The management we have, they are young people, really. They are all like my age group. Myself and the CFO were born on the same year. You see, they're young, but they're not so young anyway, so they're experienced. And that's one. Then if you also go to Yahoo Finance, you can get informations like what's the PE ratio, what's the earning per share. So now, you know, I said something about institutions holding it. Let's go for checking the holders of Square. Who are the people buying Square? You can see that we have more than 76.2% of the total share floated by Square is held by institutions. Now, let's check directly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go to the website and go to my browser and share my browser now. Let's see directly who are the people, who are the institutions. Can we find out information about the institutions buying into Square? Now let's go to Yahoo Finance, Square. Okay, Square. Okay, now I'm on Yahoo Finance. Okay, I'm having a problem with my trackpad. Let me get my mouse. 1 second, please. At this point, you can stop me if you have any questions. Let me quickly get my mouse. Okay, I'm back. Now let's check who are the institutions holding it. Holders. I'm clicking on holders. Now, can you see? Morgan Stanley, Vanguard Group, BlackRock, Capital World, Wellington, even ARK Invest. Now, if you want to be very thorough, you can begin to go and, if you have more time, research about all these companies that are holding it. How strong are they? Are they credible? What's their track record? But I tell you, neither you or myself, we have as much money, as much human resource, as much experience as these people. So are you going to tell me that they are all wrong? But of course, you will know when they are buying and when they are selling. So you can't base your judgment only because they are buying it. And when they want to sell, they won't tell you, right? On this side, you can find out how much of the shares they have. ARK Invest have about 5 million shares. Morgan Stanley have about 35 million shares. Vanguard Group has about 23. Vanguard is probably buying some of it to add into their ETF. Are you with me? So maybe, for instance, you don't want to buy Square because you don't want to expose yourself into that risk. You might just go into ARK Invest. ARK Invest, they have a website, or go to Vanguard and find out which of their funds is investing on Square, and then you buy it. So those are two ways in which you can buy it. So now, time for somebody in the group to tell me a company they like, and then we will do the research together live here, and you can see how a real research can be done. I'm going to stop screen sharing for a minute. I'm also going to stop